So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us in this Infoday. It's very nice to see all of you and to see that so many people joined, because this is already the fifth year that we are organizing this. And I'm just going to read you a bit the program for today. We have now Anna Gamboni, head of Sapienza International Research Office, who will give you a welcome speech. Then we have Rosa Di Stefano from the Research Office of Sapienza as well, who will introduce you to the MSCA Postdoctoral Fellowship characteristics. I will give a presentation about what CIVIS is and what's the research side of CIVIS, and then we will finally finish with a testimonial from Susana Marina Aguilar. And without much further ado, I'll pass the floor to Anna Gamboni.
Thank you, Letizia. Good morning to everybody. My name is Anna Gamboggi. I'm the head of the International Research Office in Sapienza, but I'm also a member of the Research Council of the CIVIS Alliance, CIVIS 2, together with Professor Fabio Sciarrino, who is at the moment the chair of the Research Council. He's our vice rector for international competitive strategies for research in Sapienza. He's very sorry not to be here, but he had some unscheduled institutional commitments, and so he cannot join us. CIVIS Research Council is one of the institutional bodies of the Alliance, of the structure of CIVIS, and the aim of this council is to provide a long-term and sustainable vision of the research and innovation dimension in CIVIS, defining also a framework of research actions for CIVIS members, and also, of course, our strategic African partners, CIVIS. The program today, as Letizia already said, is to present the opportunities offered by Marie Sklodowska-Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship program to the CIVIS community. And this program represents an interesting opportunity for researchers with a PhD who want to apply to a postdoctoral fellowship, choosing a CIVIS university, one of the university's members of this alliance as host institution. So my colleagues Rosa and Letizia will present the main characteristics of the call and how our alliance can support the research and the researchers and become also an added value in the proposal. At the same time, this program represents a key opportunity for realizing the mobility of researchers, which is one of the objectives, one of the deliverables of CIVIS project. So I hope you will enjoy the Info Day and will benefit as much as possible of this opportunity. Thank you very much. You are on mute.
Sorry. I think we can. Thank you very much for the speech, for the welcome speech. And now we pass the floor to Rosa, who will talk about the characteristics of the MSCA. And of course, the chat is open for you, so you can post your questions there. And at the end of the Info Day, at the end of the testimonial, we will try to address as many as we can. Okay. So Rosa, you had issues with sharing your screen, so I will share my.
Yes, thank you, Letizia. Would be great if you can share it for me. Yep, we can see it. Okay, perfect. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. As already said, I will be presenting you today which are the main characteristics of the postdoctoral fellowships so that you can have an idea about how this program works, and hopefully we hope to, how do you say, to encourage you to participate and take advantage of this great opportunity that the European Commission provides to researchers. So next slide, please. Can start. Yes. Okay. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship Program, first thing to know is that this is actually the main instrument at union level to promote the career of researchers. It's the main objective. The European Commission really designed this program with the aim of achieving some key objectives, which are, first of all, foster excellence through the implementation of research projects. Indeed, this program, the Marie Curie program, is under the excellence pillar of Horizon Europe. Secondly, it is really meant to enhance the creative and innovative potential of researchers which already hold a PhD. So we are, as the name of the call clearly say, it is a program for postdoctoral researchers. And it means to enhance this potential, not only through the excellent research project, so not only by doing research, but also through training on both scientific and transferable skills, and through supporting the development of researchers' career. A key characteristic, so how to develop this potential, is in the mind of the European Commission when designed this program. This is done through what is called the 3I mobility, which is 3I stands for international, intersectoral, and interdisciplinary. So it means really that this program promotes mobility, which is not only geographical, but also mobility between sectors and between disciplines. And finally, it is also an instrument that is meant to help to bridge the gap between academia and the non-academic sector, and it really encourages exposure of researchers in the non-academic sector, and we will see shortly how. A key characteristic, a very interesting characteristic of this program, which you may not find so easily in programs that fund research, is that it has a bottom-up approach. This means that you can propose a project in any field of science. So it is really up to you to decide what is the research that you want to carry out, what is the topic that you want to cover. And since the beginning of Horizon Europe in 2021, the postdoctoral fellowship program also includes the Euratom areas, so research in the atomic science field. Next slide, please. So what's in for you if you decide to participate to a postdoctoral fellowship funded by the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Action? Well, as we said at the beginning, the idea of this program is to support the development and enhance the opportunity, the career opportunity of researchers. So the idea is that at the end of the fellowship, you will have an increased set of research and transferable skills and competencies. And we will see that training is a key, indeed is a key aspect of MSCA PF project. A new mindset and approaches to research and innovation work through that 3I experience that we saw in the previous slide. So by encouraging mobility between countries, sectors, and disciplines. This should help you to gain or enlarge your opportunities and mindsets. And finally, enhanced networking and communication capacities with peers. Again, we will see in a few slides that communication, dissemination are key aspects of a Marie Curie project. So by applying and hopefully get funded through this project, you will have the resources and the opportunity to train and do communication activities, and also to enlarge your network thanks to the geographical mobility that it involves. Of course, the program is meant not only to support researchers, but also the organizations that host researchers within this program. So if any potential supervisor also is with us today, just to let you know that this program really can increase the global attractiveness of the institution, as well as its visibility and reputation. It enhances the quality and the sustainability of research training and supervision, and also allows for stronger research and innovation capacity. We are within, as I said, the excellence pillar of Horizon Europe. So this is meant to fund excellent research and, support the innovation capacity of institution. Next slide, please. So just to get a little bit more into how the program works. So the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship Program has two main funding scheme. One is the European Postdoctoral Fellowship. In this case, you will be carrying out your project entirely at a European host institution, either in a European member state or in a Horizon Europe associated country, or you can opt for a global fellowship. In this case, you will be carrying out your research at first outside Europe, with a mandatory return phase in Europe. So you will spend 1 to 2 years in a host institution anywhere in the world, and then you will be returning to your European host institution to finalize your project. An important thing to understand if you decide to apply for this fellowship is that the application are made jointly by the researcher and a supervisor. This means that you will have to identify a supervisor in a European or associated country host institution that is willing to submit the proposal with you, support you if the project gets funded, and really work collaboratively to this project. Before we move on, I just want to explain what Horizon Europe Associated Country is, because you will be finding this terminology a lot if you decide to approach this program or any other program within Horizon Europe. Associated countries are those countries which are not formally part of the European Union, so they're not member states, but they joined the Horizon Europe program. So basically, they participated in the program, and they get this, how do you say, this status as associated countries, which basically means even if they're not EU member states, they participate as if they were member states, European countries, okay? And at the bottom of this slide, you can find which are Horizon Europe associated countries. Just to name a few, Turkey is an associated country, United Kingdom is an associated country, Iceland, Israel, Georgia, Armenia. So really, you can carry out a European fellowship much beyond what it's normally considered as European Union member states. Okay, next slide, please. As I was saying before, we saw that this program really wants to bridge the gap between academia and the non-academic sector. And indeed, you can carry out your project in any kind of institution. It can be an academic or as well a non-academic institution. When we say non-academic, we mean literally everything which is not purely an academic institution. So not only industry, but also a museum, an NGO, an international organization, and so on. For what concern researchers, of course, there are some criteria to be able to participate to this program. And here are the requirements that are asked to researchers to participate. This program can be, it's open to researchers of any nationality. So literally everybody everywhere in the world can participate to a European fellowship, whereas for global fellowship, only nationals or long-term residents of member states or associated countries can apply for this type of scheme. Second requirement, you need to have already received your PhD at the call deadline, or you should have at least defended your viva. So as I said, the name postdoctoral, this is a postdoctoral program, so it is open only for people that apply as postdoc. Another criteria is that you do not have to have more than 8 years of research experience after PhD. As we said at the beginning, this is a program to support the career of researchers, so to help researchers to build their own future career in research, and that's the reason why it is it targets researchers that are at the beginning of their career, and that's the reason why they included this requirement. Of course, there are some exceptions to this 8-year window. For example, if you had career breaks, if you have work outside research, or if your research was carried out outside Europe, these are all periods that can be deducted from the 8 years. So this will extend the window to participate. And finally, and maybe the most important rule for researchers is the mobility one. As we said at the beginning, this is a program that supports mobility, and first of all, geographical mobility. So you are expected not to have resided or carried out your main activity in the country of the benefit of the European institution, or for global fellowship, the non-European host institution, for more than 12 months in the prior 3 years. Okay, so you really are expected to move to another country to change your usual environment and get experience somewhere else compared to where you have been doing your research or your studies in the last years. There are some stricter criteria for the fellowships which are supported by the Euratom program. In this case, only organizations which are legal entities in a European member state or Euratom associated country, so not Horizon Europe, but Euratom associated country, can host researchers through this fellowship, and researchers must be either nationals or long-term residents of a EU member state or a Euratom country, associated country. Next slide, please. In terms of duration, a postdoctoral fellowship within the Marie Sklodowska-Curie program can last from a minimum to 1 to a maximum of 2 years in the case of the European fellowships, Whereas for a global fellowship, you have a longer period of time. It is the duration is minimum 2 up to maximum 3 years. And of this period, you will have to spend 1 or 2 years outside Europe, and then you will have to carry out mandatorily 12 months in the European host institution. So the return phase is a fixed time. It cannot be more or less than 12 months. And it is in addition of the period you spent outside of Europe. Researchers will have the opportunity to spend periods of time outside their main host institution. So you can plan to carry out your research, for example, at a European host institution and spend some months at another institution to gain some skills or to get trained on a specific methodology, or to gain some experience which cannot be acquired at your host institution. And this can happen in any institution anywhere in the world. There is only a limited duration in time, which is 1/3 of the fellowship duration. This means if we're talking about a European fellowship or a global fellowship, which is in its entire duration, the secondment can be up to 8 months. You can even break down the periods in more periods, so do 2 months at a host institution for a secondment and another month at another host institution, as long as you don't exceed this limit. Another opportunity within the program is that you can add up to 6 months at the end of the fellowship to spend some time in a non-academic host institution in order to acquire specific non-academic skills meant to get a career opportunity in the non-academic sector. So this is yet another opportunity that you can use if you apply for this program. So when you have to write your project and submit it, the call was open at the end of April, and a proposal will have to be submitted by the 11th of September. This year, there is quite large budget, because the overall budget for the program for this year is over 400 million euros. So we expect many projects to be funded, and so I suggest this is a good opportunity to take your shot this year. One thing you have to be aware is that there is a resubmission restriction. This means that if you submit a proposal and you finally receive a score which is lower than 70%, you won't be able to resubmit the proposal the following year. So you basically will have to skip one call before being able to resubmit the same project. Next slide, please. So what happens if you get funded? In case you gain the postdoctoral Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship, you will be recruited by your European host institution under an employment contract, or if this is not possible because of some national legislation, under a fixed amount fellowship agreement, which includes social security. You will have to work full-time on the Marie Curie project, and you will have to work exclusively for the action. So it is a full-time commitment on the project for the 2 or 3 years of your fellowship. Your salary will be paid through the fellowship, so no cost will be charged to the host institution. And in addition to the funds that you will have for your salary, there you will also have access to budget for carrying out your research. So for any research cost that is associated to the development of the project. Next slide, please. And this is what's in for you in terms of budgets. So in the first three columns, living, mobility, and family allowance, you see what you will get as a salary in terms of this is the gross amount. So before tax deductions, but still is a good salary in European standards. And they will, the three elements will be part of your salary. Of course, the family allowance only applies to people that have family obligations. So either if you're married or an equivalent status as marriage, or if you have dependent children. As I said before, in addition to your salary, you also have budget for carrying out the project. This is what's called the institutional contribution, which is directly handled by your host institution, but it will be earmarked for your research project. And this amounts to 1,000 euros per month of fellowship. And you also have 650 euro for management and indirect costs. Next slide, please. How the projects are evaluated. Basically, they're evaluated under three criteria, which are excellence, impact, and implementation. In terms of excellence, the evaluators will look at how innovative your project is, the excellence of the methodology you propose, the how well the supervisor and the host institution fit with your project, and also your own excellence as researchers. So they will look at your profile and professional experience. The second criteria is impact. So they will assess what's the impact of the fellowship on your career perspectives and employability. The expected outcomes or impacts at scientific, societal, and economic level. And also they will see how you will develop a sound dissemination, exploitation, and communication plan to support this impact. And finally, they will assess how well the projects will be implemented. So they will have a look at your work plan, and they will look at the quality and capacity of the host institution to allow you to carry out the project in the best possible way. Next slide, please. So just to give you some hints very briefly of which are key elements of a successful proposal. First of all, as we said, they will look at the scientific excellence of your project. So your project must be ambitious, original, and innovative, and it must really fill an existing scientific or scholarly gaps and contribute to the advancement of science. Another key aspect, as we already mentioned earlier, is training. So they want to see that you will acquire new skills through this fellowship, and to this end, you will have to include a well-defined training plan in your project. And also they will want to see some transfer of knowledge between you and the host institution. So you will acquire new knowledge thanks to the fellowship and the time spent at your host institution, but it is expected that you will also bring something to the host institution that is hosting you by transferring your knowledge, your experiences, and so to the host institution. Next slide, please. Another key element is the supervision and the host institution. So you have to choose a supervisor and the host institution that really fit with your project, either in terms of the scientific aspects of it, but also on the skills that you will plan to acquire during the fellowship. And also should be clear that you will be integrated in the host institution, so there will be like a beneficial exchange between all the elements involved. Communication and dissemination will be another aspect which you will have to describe carefully in your proposal. Indeed, there will have to be a clear plan for dissemination and communication, which is aimed at maximizing the project impact. And we said before that impact is one of the, we saw before that impact is one of the elements that will be assessed by the evaluators. And just a reminder for those of you who may not know it, in Horizon Europe, all publication which results from the project will have to be in open access. Next slide, please. So remember to mention it in your proposal. Next slide, please. Impact, again, we stress this part because it's a new addition to the proposal template, which was not there in a previous edition of this program. So they really want to see what's the impact of the fellowship, not on your career, so on your profile, but also on the scientific, economic, and social level. So they want to see how the results that will be generated during your fellowship will really have an impact on this, either one or all of these three levels. Finally, feasibility. Of course, the evaluator will have to decide which project to fund and which not. And one of the elements that is taken into consideration to decide whether or not to finance a project is how feasible it is. You can write wonderful things in your proposal, but if it's not possible to realize them in the real life, then of course this will be assessed and penalized. So you have to describe a clear work plan, so to demonstrate to evaluators that your project is feasible, and you will have to identify any possible situation that might jeopardize the implementation of the action. Basically, they will want to see that you have everything under control, that you know exactly what may go in a direction which is different from what you expected at the beginning, but that you know how to handle it and that you have a plan B or something that help to mitigate the negative impact of that risk on your project. Next slide, please. So here we leave you with some useful links for in case you decide to apply. In the first one, you will find the call page. So basically where you find all the information about the call, the key documents, and also the section where you can register your proposal in view of the submission. The second one is the national contact points. Each country in Europe has an office that supports the Horizon Europe program and potential applicants. So here you will find the contact point of your institution, the call page of the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions, the main portal of it, and EURAXAS, which is the key portal for mobility of researchers within Europe. I think this was the last slide. Yes. So I thank you for your attention. Of course, we'll be here if you have any question. I don't know if we want to collect them at the end after At the end, we have a Q&A session, so maybe we can answer them later if there is any question or. Yes.
Yes, I think we can answer any question. Please feel free to use the chat, and we will take the questions right after. I will thank you very much, Rosa. Very detailed as usual. And if you like, I will start with my presentation. So. Okay. You can see it well, I hope. Okay. Yeah. So my name is Leticia Martinez Garcia, and I work as a project coordinator in the research department of Université Libre de Bruxelles. And today I will present you CIVIS, who is actually organizing this Infoday and the research side of CIVIS. So as for the content, I will start mentioning some of the CIVIS research objectives, the structure that we have, the platforms that you can use, and the database and further support postdoctoral fellowship candidates can obtain from CIVIS. So just very briefly, CIVIS is a European University Alliance. We are 11 universities. We are Aix-Marseille Université, we are University of Athens, University of Bucharest, Université Libre de Bruxelles, Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, Sapienza Università di Roma, Stockholm University, Tübingen University, University of Glasgow, Salzburg, and Lausanne. So we're 11 universities, and CIVIS, it's basically a Erasmus Plus project financed by the European Commission. So what are the CIVIS research objectives? We want to create, or we want to promote, a collaborative inter-university research that can address complex societal challenges. We want to strengthen cooperation, we want to co-create knowledge, and we want to involve researchers, academics, citizens, and of course the social and cultural sector. We want to reinforce the research links that the Alliance partners have through interdisciplinarity, shared research infrastructures, and incentive funding for joint projects. We want to stimulate collaboration, as I said before, in innovative ways. We want to address teaching, for example, but we're also looking to be a vector of change, and we want to be a model for other university alliances. So because CIVIS is an Erasmus Plus project, it is mostly focused on education, but research is also well taken into consideration. And CIVIS is organized around 5 main challenges that are very well aligned with the European Commission challenges as well. So health, climate, environment and energy, digital and technological transformation, cities, territories and mobilities, society, culture and heritage. So everything that is about CIVIS and everything related to education and research are, let's say, turning around these 5 challenges. But how is that done exactly? We have hubs. So you have a hub for health, a hub for climate and environment, and so on. And the hubs are integrated by professors of all the CIVIS universities. So, for example, in health, we have health as a topic, but then there are many sub-disciplines under health, and there are different professors from different universities working there. Normally, the hubs are more focused on educational programs, so having training for PhDs. We have as well masters, but basically what we wanted to create as well is research questions that can come up from the hubs. We also have the open labs. So the open labs are more related to local engagement. The open labs are more tied to the cities. So they try to encourage participatory research. They try to make co-creation, for example, known. So there are more projects addressing local and regional challenges involving citizens. Then more related to the administration, as Anna was saying before, there is the CIVIS Research Council that is composed by the vice rectors. They have a head of research offices as well, and they try to set up a framework and a strategy for research and innovation for the CIVIS Alliance, while the expert group, Rosa and myself are part of it. We try to inform of Horizon Europe calls, like today we submit projects like Risk for CIVIS a couple of years ago, and CIVIS 3i as well, that allow us to hire 32 researchers within the Alliance. And we support networking. So what does it mean? Basically is that we have calls for proposals now and then. The last calls for proposals that we have was for academics within CIVIS that wanted to apply for a collaborative project with African partners. So the call for proposal funded mobility for those universities who wanted to create such projects. This is not the only call that we have. So I really encourage you to keep an eye on our website and also on the newsletter, because sometimes we publish the calls through those channels. And finally, CIVIS helps you to find a supervisor or a project partner. Because of what I said before, we have a huge network, and we are very much happy to use it. Related to CIVIS platforms that you can use, we have a supervisors platform. You can find the links here. So we will be sending you the recording of the session and also the PowerPoints. So the supervisor platform, it's a database with around 1,800 professor profiles who are willing to welcome an MSCA postdoctoral fellowship researcher. So if you are intending to apply, perhaps not this year, but for the next, but you don't have a supervisor, or you're trying to find one in one of the CIVIS universities, you can always access the platform because it's public, and you can contact the supervisor that is more suitable for you. The platform is very friendly, so you can actually filter by discipline, subdiscipline, and in the end you will come up with a shorter list of names that could be useful for you. And we have a research group platform as well. So all the research groups that are within the CIVIS universities are there. If you want to find something in particular, some group that may be your interest, that you would like to be hosted with, or for your secondment, for example, you can find it there as well. There is this map that makes everything quite easy. Then we have an infrastructure platform. So if you're looking for a specific service, a specific technology, we also have the infrastructures of the CIVIS Alliance there, and you are more than welcome to use it and to find what be of your interest. More related to the MSCA postdoctoral fellowship support that we provide as Rosa was saying, the MSCA postdoctoral fellowship aims to equip researchers with skills and international experience for a successful career. The MSCA grants are open to all domains, from fundamental research to market take-up. And what you need to know is that you will see MSCA a bit everywhere, but this is because the MSCA is really a brand, no? So there is MSCA postdoctoral fellowships, there is MSCA doctoral networks, there is MSCA co-funds, etc. So for MSCA postdoctoral fellowship, what is that we try to do in CIVIS is that we try to identify potential supervisors for researchers. Based on research field, as I mentioned before, you can use a database, or you can tell us, and we will try to pair you with a supervisor. We procure a common information and support package for applicants, and the applicants for Marie Curie within our universities will receive one-to-one assistance during proposal preparation, access to support material, and participation to online training and Q&A session. So more in detail, we help you to build the proposal. The deadline is the 11th of September. I think it's good to remind it. There is a CIVIS training session for excellence, impact, and implementation that it's online, and it's a kind of a mock. We have a submission kit, so how to submit and how to write the project. It's very detailed, and it gathers the intelligence of all the CIVIS universities. And finally, we have three Q&A sessions during summer. So we host those Q&A sessions in July and August. And what we do is that we ask applicants, because this is something that is also very important. This material is only available for researchers applying within CIVIS University. It doesn't matter where you come from, you will have access to these resources and to the Q&A session. So the Q&A session, it's really, we try to collect all your questions before you submit the project. It can be specific as you want. We will try to answer that in a live session, and during the month of July and August. So just right before, to clarify any doubt that you may have last minute. I leave you here the contact information for each of the CIVIS office. So feel free to contact these people that you see here. And yeah, I think that's it from me. I will stop sharing my screen. I see the first question that I saw in the chat. Yes, the presentations will be available to everyone attending the meeting, as well as the recording. So if you like, so what time is it? It's yes, so we're perfect regarding timing. So I will pass the floor to the testimonial, and then we will start taking care of all your questions, because maybe after the testimonial you have even more questions. Okay, so thank you very much. Susanna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, hopefully you are seeing it. Well, my name is Susana Marina Aguilar. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really thankful that you invited me. So 2 years ago, I was in the other side hearing the workshop and everything. So then it's really nice now to be in the other side. So I'm a postdoctoral fellow at Sapienza University, and today I'm going to talk really broadly about the project, but more about my experience in the journey of writing this proposal. So let me first put you a little bit in context of who am I and how did I arrive to write the proposal and to have the idea of doing everything. So first of all, you can probably hear by my accent that I'm not from here. I'm from Mexico. So I have been, I'm a physicist. So I studied physics actually in Mexico almost 10 years ago. And since there, I started working in a particular branch of physics, which is called soft matter. So in there, I have just really in short, in a couple of words, This part of physics studies like gels, liquids, polymers, colloids, which are like particles that are really micrometer size. And everything I have been doing it in a computational way. So I'm not a theorist, I'm not an experimentalist, so I take a little bit of theory and then I try to reproduce experiments in simulations. And basically I do these type of things, which are called molecular simulations, which basically I just follow particles and I see how, for example, they rearrange or how do they think. So for example, in here, these arranged particles, they are forming something called a diamond. So since I was in the bachelor's, I really started liking this type of projects and this type of things. So I have been doing it for now quite a long time. So then I actually, when I was in the bachelor, I was working with ionic channels, which are basically, they are like polymers. Then I did my bachelor's as well in Mexico, where I was just working again with copolymers. Then in there, I said, okay, I want to keep on doing science. I want to keep on doing physics, but probably it's good to have some experience abroad. So actually, I moved to Europe, and here the story begins. I started doing my PhD in France, where I kept on doing these type of simulations with different systems. And here I was using glassy colloids, which basically they are just these small particles, microscopic particles, and I was following the dynamics. So from when I was in the PhD, I started thinking that I actually wanted to keep on being in academia. And at that stage, I started thinking that it's really important to try to apply, for example, for funding or to try to go a little bit to other places, to try to know other groups and to have new experiences. So I started kind of visualizing that I wanted to apply for a Marie Curie. But before that, I first did a postdoc. I went to the Netherlands to do this postdoc a couple of years ago. And actually here also begins the idea of the Marie Curie, because in there I was working again with the same things. I was doing computational things like now with other types of systems. And here, for example, I was working with particles that have different shapes, like for example, these cubes. But I started working with machine learning, which probably most of you know about this because machine learning now it's everywhere, like from ChatGPT, from Netflix, from absolutely everywhere. So I started using those things and I tried to apply them to the systems that I was working with before to try to predict things and to try to do things. So in that time, when I was in the middle of the postdoc, the first postdoc, I really got convinced to apply for a Marie Curie. And I actually started talking with a researcher and she also contacted me because we merged the ideas of applying this machine learning with something that they were doing. And I wrote my proposal in 2022 and I got funded actually. So I have just recently started the Marie Curie in March here at Sapienza University. Where I'm working with a different type of system that I have never worked, which is called microgel particles, which I am going to talk a little bit at the end, like really in just a couple of words, where I'm applying machine learning to this thing. So this is kind of just to put you in context of how did I arrive to this long journey to write the proposal. But in here, I'm also want to give you some advices and some of the things that I found that they were quite important for the Marie Curie. And I actually kind of, it's all in my opinion, I found like 4 key things, which is they're englobed in these 4 sections, which is basically an idea, the time that you take to write these things, the place where you are going to do it, and the support that you receive. So, for example, I will just briefly talk about each of these ones. And one is the idea. And as probably you have already heard, one of the main things of the project of the Marie Curie is this exchange of knowledge or like this exchange of skills. So what are you going to learn and what are you going to give back to the place where you are going to do the Marie Curie? And here I actually took a little bit of the call, like some of the lines from there. And it says that these fellowships, they enhance the creative and the innovative potential of researchers holding a PhD and who wish to acquire new skills through advanced training, international, interdisciplinary, and intersectoral mobility. And actually here, meanwhile, I was doing the presentation, I noted something which is actually quite important, which are keywords. So if you want to apply for this call, in the proposal is really important to write the keywords and to really in each of the sections to put the keywords that are like the most important of those sections, because like if the reviewer gets a little bit lost or anything, they will just see directly the keywords and then go back. So this is really, really important in the proposal. And then here, as you can see, like one of the main important things is these new skills. Just like an example here, I will put like my example. I was working with machine learning, a little bit with soft matter and computational things. So then I already had a little bit background of how to work with these things. Then I started talking with the researchers in here in the University of Sapienza with John Russo and Emanuela Zaccarelli. And they were working with these microgel particles, which basically they can be also modeled in simulations, but they're like really heavy computationally, and you have to do a lot of things, and you have to train, you have to do a lot of simulations. So we started thinking, okay, this generates a lot of data. Machine learnings need a lot of data, so maybe we can just join the two ideas. And that's why we came to the idea of writing the proposal. And as you can see in here, there is really a clear exchange of knowledge. I'm going to give them machine learning. So for example, in these 2 years, I have the proposal. I will do like small workshops about machine learning and how to apply it to soft matter. So I'm giving those skills, and they're giving me back the skills of how to model these type of particles, these complicated polymers, which I have never done. So then we have a clear exchange of knowledge and skills. So this is super important for the proposal, and I really recommend to highlight it in the proposal, like really highlight which is the match that you are doing with the principal investigator, and which are the skills and the knowledge that you are going to give. Then after, there is a place, and also as you have heard, like these fellowships, they aim to foster excellence through training and mobility. So this thing of the mobility. So basically you have to change country, which is actually quite nice. So for example, I did my first postdoc in the Netherlands, and now I'm here in Italy. So I have a kind of a big move there. But there are also like some small details in place, right? Like also to take to think about it. So one thing is the group or the PI that you are going to work with. So also, like for writing this proposal, is kind of good to try to reply to these questions in your mind, like and to ask a little bit, how's the group? Because at the end, if you get funded, you're going to be there for a couple of years. Something really important is what are the skills that you can learn and can exchange, as I was saying before. And also, this will at the end help you to boost your CV. And it's like kind of the next stage. So then it's also good to know, like if you can collaborate within the group, if you can write new proposals in the future, for example, or if you can do, nice collaborations in there. So this is something really good to try to think about it. Then you have also the university. You are going to go to one university, and it's not just about the hard skills that you are going to learn, like these new skills. So you have to really know about the infrastructure. Like if you are going to work in experiments, or if you are going to do whatever thing that you want to know, you have to kind of know that there is the infrastructure for doing it. But also this program kind of helps you to enhance like the soft skills. And this is actually the nice thing of the Alliance of Universities here in CIVIS, because it also helps you like to try to enhance these soft skills by doing programs. I remember like there are like different workshops like for writing different types of things. So then this is quite an advantage, and it's good to know about these things. And then there are like the advantages, like next to the proposal that you can have, like if you win this proposal. So the first thing is that if you get funded, you have like the first time that you have some independence to develop a project, and that you receive some money for developing something that was kind of your idea. So this is super nice. The other thing is that it helps a lot for the future career. Either it is inside academia or outside academia, you prove that you can get some funding, and it really helps to boost the CV. And you have the opportunity to go to another country to learn new things about a new group, new people, and it's always really nice to move around. I can say it because I have been moving quite a lot in Europe, so it's really nice to go to a new place. Finally, you have like the time. And in here, I think this is also quite an important thing. So this year, deadline is the 11th September. And I don't know if I'm slow writing, but I would really recommend to take your time to write and to really invest time to write these things. Because there is this saying in English that the devil is in details. And I think this is quite important in this proposal, because you have to really check quite in detail the call and to read quite well and follow and answer absolutely all the points of the call. Because as they are going to check the proposal, they really see each of the details that you reply, like everything. So then if you have really a lot of time, or if you have some time to write this thing, you can notice if there are like some missed details that you didn't see. Also, you can do it more relaxed, and then you don't have the pressure of writing it in 1 week. So really, I suggest to take time to write this proposal. And finally, there is the support. So if you have time, also you can profit about the support. Like you can go to the research office of the university that you want to apply. Something which for me was really important, it was to attend to workshops like the one that Leticia was mentioning, like how to write this thing. Is not really easy to write it, like if you don't know at all. So then you can really go and have some support of how can you write everything like in detail and all these things. And for example, me, I had the luck of attending to the one in Sapienza, the one in CIVIS, and also I had a friend applying in another university, so I also went to that workshop. So with that, it really helped me to write this thing. And also, of course, if you have time, you can also ask support, and you can share your draft with your peers, with people who have already won a Marie Curie, like with the future PI, with your previous PhD, or with your previous boss, or also with the research office. Because at the end, this proposal is also read by a committee that it could be that they're not completely experts in the subject. So you have to write it in a really nice and clear way. So then it's good to share it, and the people can tell you, yeah, it does not that clear, or it's clear. So yeah. And if you have time, then I could suggest to enjoy the process, because it's stressful, but at the end it's quite nice to see, like after like having these 10 pages where you put everything of yourself there. So then it's really nice. So just as a big summary of the things that I feel like they're like really important is to really highlight the knowledge exchange, to be really direct and concise on writing all the points of the call and to really answer all of them, to use the keywords, highlight the most important things, to get support and to profit of the support, to write a nice proposal. Take your time to write, don't rush yourself on writing. And of course, do something that you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, it really reads it in the proposal. And just in a couple of seconds, I don't know how much I have been talking, I will tell you a little bit about the project in general, just to have like an example. So the title of the project for me that I was funded is called MGels. So it's called Machine Learning Polymer Gels Elasticity and Structure. So this is a microgel, this type of particle. So this particle basically is just a lot of polymers entangled. And the nice thing of this particle is that it changes its size depending of the external temperature, for example, or pH. Like if it has a low temperature, it is all expanded, like in here. Then if I increase the temperature, it really collapses. And this has a lot of applications, like in art, in drug delivery, and a lot of things. The nice thing is that in the group that I am now, they are like really experts on doing these type of simulations. And as I was saying, like these simulations, they give a lot of data. So the idea in here is to take this data that they have done and to try to parameterize it, to do just some parameters that they change in the simulations, take them as an input for a machine learning. And basically, the machine learning does its magic. So this is all mathematical functions and everything, but we can train it, try to predict things, so to try to learn things. And here in this case, I want, my goal is to try to create this machine learning in such a way that I can predict some structural properties and elastic properties of these microgels. So just like in some general words. So with that, I would like to finish. I would like to acknowledge, of course, the European Commission, Sapienza University, and the CNR, the Consiglio Nazionale della Ricerca. Thank you. And then there is my mail if anybody wants also like I don't know, some advices about the Marie Curie. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Susanna. It was a very nice presentation, and I think you all agree with me. So I will start reading some of the questions that I see in the chat. I will also enable the microphones if someone wants to raise their hand and let us know. And then, so we will take the first one. So is the University of Lausanne considered a European Union, or should one apply for a global fellowship? So if I'm not wrong, Rosa, it's a global fellowship, right? Because it didn't change yet.
Yes, that's correct. Switzerland is no longer an associated country as it was before. So if you want to carry out part, in this case, of research in Switzerland, you will have to apply for a global fellowship with an outgoing phase. Susanna was telling about terminology, which is important. You need to know it. So you will carry out your outgoing phase in Lausanne, and then you will be back in your host institution, main host institution in Europe, and you will do one extra year there.
Okay, let's take the next one. So someone is asking, I guess, I have got some money through grants, not unemployment, from the EU country I'm planning to apply for, but that is only 5 to 10% of full time. Will this be a problem? I have performed the task from this grant mainly outside the country, although it concerns data from that country. If I understand, yeah.
Yeah, well, when they talk about main activity is really where you are employed or carry out your job. Usually it's checked with your work contract. So if you have a work contract in a country, that is considered a main activity, so it's considered like a country where you're living or you are doing most of your activity. So if that's other funds concerns a country where you did a little bit of your research, that's not considered.
Fine. Yeah, as long as you have not been in that country for 12 months within the last 3 years, it's fine. Next one is the supervisor may be selected from a list of potential candidates or must submit a proposal with the researcher at the outset of the application process. I'm not sure I
can just explain briefly how the supervisor thing works. You can choose a supervisor, well, whatever supervisor you think fits your proposal. It doesn't have to be from a specific list. So really you have to decide who can collaborate at best with you within this proposal, also taking into consideration complementarities, as Susanna was mentioning before. The list Letizia was talking about before is just a tool that CIVIS created to help you to find a supervisor, but it doesn't, you're not limited by that list. But I would like to stress it is important to choose really someone that fits your proposal. So take your time to identify the best profile. It can be someone you already collaborated with in the past, for example, or someone your research group collaborates with. This is fine. Just try to find the right person for you.
Yes, I'm gonna leave you the platform on the chat, just so you know. And it says really big, it's CIVIS. It's just our academics who are in the database, but you're free to choose whoever you think it's more suitable for your research. The next one is, if I did not have research contracts for a few months after my PhD, is this period considered a career break?
Yes, definitely. Usually, like the research experience is calculated based on the work contracts that you have, work contract that imply doing research. You can even deduct a percentage of your time. So if your contract, your work contract is for doing part of your time research and part of your time teaching, for example, you can deduct the time of teaching from the calculation of the 8 years. So just a quick answer to the question, yes, it does not, it's considered a career break.
Okay. Then there is a really long question here. So I would like to apply for a global fellowship from an Italian host university, but I have substantial interest in a UK institution. Fair enough. Since, as I understand, the UK is not considered a third country in global fellowships, may I structure the global project in the following way? So having a host institution in Italy the first year, secondment at a UK university for another year, and a third country university in the US the last year. Is it possible to choose a supervisor with whom I previously collaborated with during a postdoc fellowship? Are supervisors from the global fellowship only from the host institutions, or can there also be supervisors at the third country, at the third country university, and the secondment institution?
Okay, I will break down the answer in,
yes.
in different parts. So first of all, if you want to apply for a global fellowship, of course, UK cannot be the country hosting your outgoing phase because it's not considered a third country. But you can do a secondment there, yes. So just taking the example here, you will spend the first year in US because you have to start your project with the outgoing phase. This is mandatory. You can, within the year in the US, spend some time in UK, not 1 year. Remember, it is 1/3 of the limit. You have this time limit of 1/3 that in case of the global fellowship is 1/3 of the outgoing phase. So it will be 1/3 of 1 year, which is 4 months. And then the mandatory return phase of 1 year in Italy. Okay, so you have to consider the time limit that the call foresees. Or another option is doing 2 years in US, within that 2 years doing 8 months in UK, and then 12 months return in Italy. Second part of the question, it is, yes, as I said before, it is possible to choose a supervisor with whom you collaborated previously. And if you apply for a global fellowship, you will have the main supervisor at the main host institution, the European host institution, a co-supervisor at your non-extra-European host institution, so the outgoing phase host institution, and then you will have also to identify a supervisor at the secondment institution. So hierarchically, it will be the European supervisor and the co-supervisor from the outgoing phase host institution and the secondment host institution. I think I covered everything.
In any case, the recording will be available in case you want to recheck Rosa's reply. We got
which means that it wasn't very clear then.
No, I think it was clear, but then you know, all this jargon, the outgoing, ingoing, secondments, 1/3. I think it's difficult if you haven't seen it before, I think. So the last question from Elena, under what type of contracts are researchers employed in their host institutions? Is it compatible with school leave for candidates who are also teachers, professors in school?
Well, this really depends on the country where you apply. So each country, even within the CIVIS Alliance, we all have different contract type, and you will have to check on a case by case, seeing which, if the contract that they propose is compatible with your current position. Yes.
Yes, you can, if you're interested in any of the CIVIS universities, there is the contact point at the end of my presentation. You can contact them at any time with this kind of questions. Is there any other question? Yes, we got a last one regarding the timeline. When would the funded project officially begin?
Well, you have a time span. So just to give you an idea, your deadline is in September. The results will be out in February, usually mid-February. From there, you have to consider a couple of months at least, right, Leticia, to complete the grant agreement. So the contract that the host institution signed with the European Commission to receive the funding. And from there, you can decide the start date of your project, which can be right after the grant is signed. So let's say May of the next year, so May 2025. But you can decide to postpone the start date of your project until the 1st of September of 2026. So you have really 18 months to start the project. According, of course, you have to justify why you want to postpone the start date, but usually they're quite flexible with it.
Exactly. Okay. We have 5 minutes. So if you have any other question, or we can just wrap up. I have all your inscriptions on Teams, so I will be sending you the 3 PowerPoints, the 3 presentations that you saw today, and the recording, who will probably be in a platform because it will be probably too heavy. So yeah, I don't see any raised hands, so thank you very much. And it was very nice to see so many people, so many of you interested in the MSCA Postdoctoral Fellowship. I hope we can see you perhaps in the Q&A sessions. So, and if not, but you're still applying, good luck.